Hello, and welcome to the Intuitive Heart Healing Podcast. My name is Valeri and I'm your host for this week's podcast. Creating this podcast to help bring you some healing through the work that I do, through my stories, through other people's stories. And um, I'm just so excited to be here and to share with you. And I want you to all listen with an open heart and take what resonates with you. And I'm not just going to be sharing my story going forward, I'm going to be sharing more of other people's stories as well, because I think it's really important for you to hear all sides of healing, because we all come from different perspectives. And not everybody relates to everything. And that's okay because we are all different, unique individuals. Some people might need to work with a different healing modality or a different processes, and everybody has their own journey. And so some of you may relate to my journey or parts of my journey, but as I bring on more guests, you can possibly relate more to their journey, and that's great, and that's okay, and that's why I am doing this, because we are all here on a healing journey. We are all here to evolve, to grow, to learn. And any way we can do that is going to be amazing for us. And it's all about letting in more love and opening up our hearts. Everything that I do revolves around love and opening up our hearts. And no matter how much I've opened up my heart and really gotten to know myself and love myself, as I learn and I go through my journey, I go deeper and deeper into that. And that does mean having to go and explore the shadow side and not ignore the shadow. And I've talked to you many, 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 many times about that, about not ignoring your shadow, your darkness, the uncomfortable journeys that you have to go on, and really going in there and exploring and healing and evolving from them instead of light washing it, as I called it last time, because that's where our growth is. And that's where you're really going to elevate your own being, your own self. And if you're not allowing yourself to go in there, you're holding yourself back. And I'm not saying rush in and do this right now and do it right away. We all have to come to this on our own terms and our own journeys, because that's the way it is. People can't rush you. Nobody can rush you into something. People can help you. They can plant your seeds. And that's part of what I'm doing. If you're not ready, I'm helping to plant a seed that maybe at some point you're going to watch grow and you're going to evolve from. I'm helping you plant the seed. You're doing all the work. I'm just helping to facilitate that. And if you remember part of my journey when I started out doing this, I wanted nothing to do with my spirituality. I wanted nothing to do with my psychic senses or non-physical senses. I wanted to hide them and push them away. And it took me it took me over 40 years to get to the spot where I was willing to accept them, willing to learn about them, and willing to embrace them. So it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. It doesn't matter what time you've got to where you're going. It doesn't matter what experiences that you have that you put things off. All that matters is that you're here and now, and that you take those steps when you are actually ready. That's the important part. All these other pieces that are happening leading up to you taking that step, taking that part of the journey for you to go and learn more about yourself, it's all still healing. It is all still healing. It is all still learning. It's just a different way that you're learning and healing. I regret nothing. I regret no parts of my journey. I regret nothing that I did because they helped me make me who I am today. They helped me to get to where I am. I never look back and say, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that, because you can't go back. You can't go back and change that part. All you can do is move forward. You can reflect on it and look and learn from it and learn what it has shown you, but you cannot go back and change it. So there's no should've, would'ves, or could'ves. It's just here now. You made those choices. You chose those steps. So accept it. Accept the path that you've taken to get here. I was talking to somebody recently, and I was telling her we were having a very similar conversation. And, I've been to readers, I've been to psychics, I've been to mediums, not a lot, not a lot. And I've had people tell me that a relationship I was in for too long, and I wasn't supposed to be in that relationship too long. And it's not true. There is a timeline where I exited that relationship a lot sooner. And that timeline looks different than this timeline. But in this timeline, I chose that path. I did it because that's where I wanted to be at that time. I didn't see clearly some things that I see clearly now, but I don't regret any part of it because that was my path. So anybody that tells you that you should have been somewhere now, or you should have done this, or you shouldn't have done that, they're looking at a timeline that isn't your current timeline, because we have multiple different timelines. This is like when I do intuitive guidance and reading for people, I always like to make clear there are multiple different timelines out there. There's multiple different choices for you. Okay? There is not one set in stone pathway. There is some things that are energetically aligned with you and that you may have a path to accomplish them in all those different timelines. There are certain things that are really out there for you to accomplish, but there's so many different timelines, and we make the choices because we do have free will. And we do have guidance, and we do get nudges to go a certain way or do a certain thing. But we ultimately, in the end, make those choices. And so there's multiple different timelines. So when you are getting readings, you're getting a reading about one certain timeline. And you can change that path because you can choose something else. You can embrace different energies. And that is our choice. That is what we're here to do. Make our choices, make our own pathways, make our own growth. And we have those opportunities in so many different ways. And how we look at things and what we say and how we hold our energy. Sometimes we believe we have no choices. We might not like all the choices that are aligned with us, but we have those choices. I remember having a discussion, and I was having a discussion about with somebody, and we were talking about the vaccines at the time, and that was the discussion. And I made a choice, and it was my choice. And we were having that discussion about it, and he was like, "But you didn't make a choice." I said, "I did make a choice. I looked at all my options that I had. I didn't like all the options that were laying in front of me, but I looked at all the options that I had. And I knew what I wanted to accomplish at that time. And in order to do that, I had to make a choice. And I had to make peace with that choice. But that was my choice to make. I could have made 3 or 4 different other choices, but I didn't like those other choices. They didn't feel right and it didn't feel aligned with me. And that was my choice. Because we always have these different choices, even in situations where we feel like we have no choice, we always have a choice. Because when you make that decision of what you're going to do, because ultimately you have to make that decision, right? So if you have a choice, like let's say you have an opportunity, you're in a job, you're not really happy with the job. You have another job opportunity that comes up, but that job opportunity doesn't give you certain things in your current job that you actually like, even though you don't like your job. And then you have another opportunity to maybe move out of state for another job that is aligned with everything that you want, or 85 to 90% of everything that you want. It's better than these other two options, but that means that you have to relocate. But in that relocation, you're maybe moving away from family. They're not going to pay for you to relocate. Maybe you have a child with somebody and that person hesitant on letting you to move out of state. But these are your options that you have at this moment. You can stay at your current job. You can take another job that you have an offer to, but it's lacking something that you really like in your current job. Or you can move out of state. And in this moment, you might say, I have no choices, but you do. You have 3 choices. 3 choices on the line. And you actually have more than that because you can choose to go to your employers that you currently have and talk to them about some things that you don't like. But you have to make these choices. And you might say, well, I could talk to my employers, but they're not going to listen to me. Have you talked to them? Have you really sat down and had that conversation in a productive way with them to get these points across? You have these choices. And you have to make one of these choices. Whatever choice you make, you have to make peace with that choice. So let's say in this scenario, moving out of the state, even though it's the job that you want, is not going to work for you right now. So you choose not to accept that job. And now you have these 2 jobs that are right in front of you. But that other job is just missing this important piece that you really like in your current job, even though you hate your job. So you choose to stay where you currently are. Now your choice is how you are going to be in this job. You can go to work hating this job every day, but what is that going to do to you? How is it going to affect you spiritually, emotionally, physically? Or you can go to this job with this outlook of, I'm going to do and make this the best opportunity I can, and be in a higher vibrational energy. Doesn't mean that you still might not hate what you do, but the way that you hold your energy will affect you. The way you hold and choose to hold your energy in what you do affects you. So you can show up to work every day miserable, but everything in your life is going to be that way. Or you can show up every day and look for the best possibilities of the day and be in that higher vibrational energy. Doesn't mean that you might not have a bad day here and there, but it will help you navigate that bad day better. It'll help you stay in that energy outside of work, and it'll affect your overall well-being along with all your relationships with everybody. Because if you are constantly miserable in one area of your life, it's going to carry over to all areas. So the choice is how you choose to show up and how you choose to be. That is your choice. So when you want to grow spiritually, you want to grow emotionally, you have to begin to hold that higher vibrational energy. And that higher vibrational energy is choosing to be in that higher vibrational energy. If you constantly are doing things that don't make you happy, that's going to help lower your energy. If there is something that you choose that you know might not make you happy, you have to choose to raise your vibration in that situation. You have to choose what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept. And this is part of the healing process of learning to use your voice, learning to hold your own energy, learning to stand in your power, learning to speak up for yourself, learning to set boundaries, learning acceptance, kindness, not only of others, but to yourself. All these things are important to you in your experience. So, what is your choice? What is the vibration that you wish to hold? Where do you wish to be in this universe, in this world? How do you want to approach your relationships? Are you choosing to forgive, to allow yourself to open up? Are you choosing to stay in that energy of anger and hate and sadness? These are choices that we make. And sometimes it takes us a while to shift that energy and be in that choices and make those choices clearer. But it does get easier. It really does. I had an experience this week and I went away. I went away to San Diego and we did something spontaneous and took this um, ride. I can't even think of what it's called, but ride where the person is like driving the bike and we're in the car. And when we were talking to the guy about how much it was, he wasn't very clear. He was mumbling. It was very hard to understand him. I thought he said something. And then when we got out there, it was a lot more money than I expected it to be. And I said, you know what? Oh, well. We had fun in the moment. We enjoyed it. It got us where we wanted to a lot quicker. It was just a better experience. I could have chose to fight with him. I could have chose to argue with him. I could have chose to beat myself up because I knew better, which being on the Atlantic City boardwalk and watching all the push cart people and how they talk to people and all that stuff, I did know better. But in that moment, I chose to just enjoy the moment that we were having. And I will tell you this. 4 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that would have not been the choice. I would have got angry. I would have got mad. I would not have been happy with the person I was with who really wanted to do it and did it and then end up being all this more money than I expected. And it's because of the healing that I've done. It's because of the relationships with money that I have, the healing that part of it, healing forgiveness and understanding, but also being in that moment instead of being so far ahead, like, or, oh, I could have done this with that, or I could have done that with that. It was being right in that moment and experience that moment. But if I had not healed and grown into the person I am now, that would not have been the case. It would have been totally the old version of me. And I've had a couple experiences recently that came up that kind of like showed me this and showed me how far I have come. And I share this with you because I want you to know it's possible. I want you to know that you can do this too. You can heal yourself. You can heal your relationships with others. You can heal your relationship with money. You can heal your relationship with having to plan everything out and be spontaneous in the moment and have no regrets about that because I have none. But it comes down to you and your choices and how you begin your healing process. It's a step-by-step journey. And I said in the beginning that every choice we have help us to get here. And it is all part of our healing journey because we have to learn certain things. So in this relationship that everybody, not everybody, but people have said that I should have ended early. I didn't learn what I needed to learn in that relationship. I needed to be there because I needed to learn more about myself and more about the relationship. And I didn't know what all that was. And I still don't know what all that was, but I do know looking back where I'm at that some of the choices I made back then is because I wasn't willing to accept a part of me, and I wasn't willing to compromise in a way that was, I wanted to like really stand my ground on things and wanted to always be right. And I didn't want to see somebody else's point of view. And now, because I've learned to be more accepting, and I open myself up to more love and allow that love to come in, that in a relationship, I can be more understanding. I can see somebody else's point of view. And it's also about happiness. I'm choosing to be happy, where I wasn't necessarily choosing to be happy. And it could be for many different reasons. I don't want to go back and say, maybe it wasn't the right person, or maybe I wasn't in the right energy. Maybe I wasn't happy in other areas of my life, so I wasn't making that. It doesn't matter. All that matters right now is that I can see that now I choose to be more happy. Now I choose to listen more. My communication has gotten better because I've worked on that. I'm being a better person in communication and listening more, listening openly, and not just hearing what I want to hear. It changes my whole world and my whole perspective. And even though I still have my stubbornness, because that has not gone away at all, um, there's certain things that I don't choose to be stubborn with anymore. And this is because I've done the work and I've done the healing. And I couldn't have got here if I didn't stay in that relationship as long as I did, because I had to be ready to accept certain things, and I wasn't. But I am blessed for that because now I've learned so much more about myself and so much more about what I want in a relationship, and learned how to communicate so much more with all people in my life. And it's a beautiful thing. And I know that you can do that, your journey and your pathway. And I really hope that you start to be more present in where you're at and really start to dig deep into areas that are ready to be healed, and that you're ready to step in that healing, because it's going to open your heart for so much more love and so much more happiness and so much more peace. And that's all I have to say to share with you today. I don't know, it feels a little bit lighter today, a little bit different. And I do have to say that the last couple of weeks, I was in this really like communicative state, and I really had like all this to share with everybody and wanted to share with everybody and writing and all that. And then the last couple of weeks, it's just kind of almost like when we hit Cancer season and got out of Gemini season, I was just like, I don't want to record a podcast. I don't have that inspiration. And you know what? That's part of the healing too, and part of the growth as well, is realizing that we go through different stages in our beings. And sometimes, as somebody that is an entrepreneur, has her own business, her own healing practice, you get into this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to keep doing this. And you know what? When you release the pressure of what you have to do and just be, it just changes everything. And it really, to me, has been more peaceful. And I just, know it's going to come back when it's meant to come back. And when I'm meant to share something with all of you, it'll be there for sharing. And it doesn't have to look a certain way or be a certain way. I just have to be me and share what is in my heart with all of you, and what is shared with me to be shared with all of you. So go out, enjoy your healing journey, spread love in this world. I am sending all my love to all of you. And until next time, bye-bye for now.